Little Joe, but now they can call me Batman.
Hello, welcome back to the Necro Zoo. I am Bones. And in this one, let's go ahead and add one more figure to my McFarlane DC Multiverse collection. Now this one will be from the DC Cinematic Universe. It will be Atom Smasher. He is from the Black Adam wave. Now I have already looked at a couple of figures from this wave. Dr. Fate, Hawkman, and now we'll take a look at Atom Smasher. Now he is a rather simple figure, but there is a couple of callbacks to older figures and to his original DC Comics design, but he does look pretty strong in the packaging, so let's go ahead and take a closer look at it. But first, he does come with your standard black DC Multiverse stand. Not really needed, but sometimes they do come in useful. He also comes with his data file card. On the front, you have a comic-inspired image from the film. And on the back, you do have some information. It does come from the comics, and you've actually seen him in different versions throughout cartoons and different other forms of media. In the comics, he does have an iconic look, but this time they did go with a different version. Now I did see some images that were like some concept art where he looked more traditional with the sleeveless look. But they did go with this one, and this is what we're getting in the movie, so rather interesting look. I do know that a lot of people made fun of this one, saying that he looks like Deadpool, but we'll also get into that when we take a closer look at the figure. He does also come with two alternate hands. These are more like open palm hands, kind of like grasping hands, I guess you could say, or like choking hands, but yeah, pretty cool to have some extra hands with the figure. Always nice, but let's go ahead and take a closer look at him. Now, first impressions, like I said before, pretty unique design and way to go with this character. I do see some things that I like, some things that are kind of head scratchers, but there's a lot of potential here. Now, of course, we all do need to take a look at the movie to get a full grasp of the character and how he is going to be portrayed in the film. But all in all, pretty simple design and pretty nice looking figure just with first impressions. Let's take a look at the head sculpt. Now, as I said before, a lot of people comparing him to Deadpool, and I think the main reason was because they decided to paint these like outer portions of the mask that go around his eyes. Now, I think in other images from the film or like other artwork based on the film, like film comics and stuff like that, he does not have that different color around his eyes. It's actually the same color as the rest of the mask. Now that would go pretty far to differentiate him from Deadpool, because also in the comics he usually just wears a one-tone like full mask, but with those parts painted around the eyes you do get that kind of Deadpool look. And all they would have had to do was match the color, and they could have avoided that. But it is what it is. This is what they've given us. And of course, we can always fix that on our own. But aside from that, the mask does have a pretty nice texture to it, kind of like grain pattern. As I said, you do have those shapes around the eyes. And surprisingly, you can see like some form of the ears, the chin, giving them a little bit of depth to the mask. It's not just like one solid, undetailed form. You do get a little bit of detail under there. So, looks pretty good, pretty simple. Let's take a look at the articulation. Now he can look down. Pretty stiff. You could tell it's like really tight. Can't get up too much. Right away his mask hits the back of his neck, and you can't get too far up, but I will end up modding this neck port. That way we could get a little bit more range. You do have right to left. and you can tilt his head for some character. Now looking at the chest emblem, you do get that classic atom symbol that's usually on characters that are very similar, like Captain Atom and of course Atom Smasher. You also have kind of a reminiscence to Firestorm and also the older Atom that is more of a miniature size power version of this character. This guy is more of a supersized version of the power abilities, so but they all have that same, similar design. Pretty cool belt. Now, when you see a lot of the images, there's a lot more detail that you could add to this, but for right now, I'll leave it pretty simple like that. Let's check out his articulation. He does have side to side at the waist. You get the full range of motion at the waist, all the way around. You got lower waist swivel, upper chest swivel, pretty smooth, pretty clean. You can twist him, get him in some cool poses. Now, he actually does have a pretty good crunch, leaning forward, and then he can lean back. Get him in some cool poses as well. Pretty nice. Let's take a look at the shoulder. He does have a butterfly shoulder joint with a lot of range. You do have that up and down motion and front to back. Bicep swivel. Double jointed elbows, passable. And then going down from the shoulder into the forearm gauntlets that are painted like a gunmetal silver. One thing is that sticks out right away is those blue pins in the red part of the uniform, but we will take care of that as well. Going down into the gloves. Now these do have a certain texture and design with like padding on the back, and he does have the wrist ball articulation from McFarlane, pivoting and swiveling. Pretty nice. Other side is the same. You can get him in a T pose. Can't really get higher than that because of the way his shoulders are formed, but pretty nice. You can shift him and get his hands above his head. So all in all, pretty smooth articulation. One thing that is really awesome, not a lot of breaking up of the lines in the costume and the sculpt. It all stays pretty nice and clean and form-fitting to the way they designed the figure. Let's take a look at his thigh swivel. This is one that in a long time I have not come across one that hardly has any thigh swivel. Now you can mod that to get more out of it, but I'm not going to do that right now. That could be for a later video. But he could still kick up really high and kick back even higher. Now this is allowed by the rubber in the trunks, and when you put it back, they go back to their original form. Now you can bend the knee, and he does have that sweet hip swivel. Double jointed knees, pretty good. Straighten them back out. You do have up and down at the ankle. Now this is your original ball joint from McFarlane at the ankle, but it is kind of hidden between the lower part of the boot and the upper. You do have right to left, rocker, and toe articulation. Before we go, let's take a look at the whole lower body. A lot of nice sculpt that you could actually like pass right over, but the boots have cool sculpt. You got like a zipper part here in the front. A lot of wrinkles and design in the upper part of the boots. Got some knee pads there. All in all, like I said, you could overlook it, but it is a really nicely designed costume. Taking a look at the bottom, not really any tread, but he does have some identifying marks. More like outer tread there. Going up the back more. Pretty nice sculpt work, kind of smooth to the back. Not really a lot of out there detail, but you do have enough. It looks pretty good. You do have some little cutouts for the shoulders to slide into to get more range. Looks pretty good. Now, before we move on, let's go ahead and do some quick changes. Now, I did paint the outer part of the mask so you could see how it looks when it's all pretty much the same color. It looks a lot better and really makes a difference in making him look like Deadpool. I also went ahead and painted in the pegs. Now they are red and they kind of blend in. I also did the ones above the knees that were like just prominently sticking out because they were completely blue. I added a little bit of red to them. I also painted the neck ring around his costume just to make it, blend in a little bit better. It looks a lot cleaner. So all in all, he looks really good. Now, as far as comparisons, I do want to go ahead and bring out the original Mattel Build-A-Figure Atom Smasher. Now, this one is more of a classic comic book look for him, but you also get a lot of the inspiration that they added into this costume. Now, Atom Smasher is actually a bigger character. I think he's like 6'7" or something like that in the comics, and he's actually really strong naturally. But the bigger he gets, he actually gets more denser, like matter-wise. So he's able to deflect bullets and stuff like that, smash buildings with ease, and actually take out a lot of other characters when he's at his massive size. Pretty much 60 feet, I think, is the biggest he could get. But for that, we will need to go ahead and bring in the McFarlane 12-inch Atom Smasher. Now, this is a Megafig, and as you can see, standing next to him, he is really big, but basically the same mold as the 7-inch one. So all the articulation, all the paint details, a lot of the textures are really ported from this smaller one into this bigger one. But it's a cool little fun thing to have in the collection, to have a bigger figure. Now, like I said before, he is supposed to be more like a skyscraper size figure and his suit like energizes and gets color on it. So all of that is things that we will be seeing in the movie. But just for McFarlane to make this and make it like a cool little collection thing is really awesome. Now, he does come with his own data file card, but pretty much the only difference is that this one has a little bit brighter color. That's the only way I could tell them apart, that this one is a little bit more redder and a little lighter blue than the original one. Now, he did not come with any alternate hands. He also came with your basic black DC Multiverse stand. But something that I did do that was pretty cool is I actually went out and found the smaller little Atom Smasher figure that they're selling for the Black Adam movie. Now, I'm pretty sure these are Spin Master, but you also do get the feeling how it should actually look more like a comic version where the mask is all one color. It doesn't have like those separated colors from the mask, and it just makes it feel a little bit more comic book. And also the blue is a little bit lighter blue that helps it mix in with more of a comic, design. And just for fun, because I know that this character doesn't really get small. He's supposed to actually only be human size and then get big, but of course this is just for display for my collection. I actually did make a very tiny little Atom Smasher. I did repaint this one to match up pretty closely to the way he looks. Gave him the silver boots and gloves, painted all his mask. I mean, the more detail I could get to make them match, I went ahead and did it just to have some fun for display. I mean, this is, part of the fun of collecting McFarlane is taking the figures and making them the way you want them, or adding some paint or adding some accessories. So I had a lot of fun doing this, and it's a pretty cool little display piece. Now, before we go, I do want to bring out the other ones I have reviewed, which is Dr. Fate, which I did give a different paint job to than the original one. And I think this one matches a little bit more the movie and some other images that I've seen. And then, of course, I did my Hawkman. I do have the review up where I did add wings that are actually articulated, not like the ones that he came with. So that's another cool little part of collecting this Black Adam movie wave. But all in all, of course, this is just to have fun and add some pretty cool figures to your collections. But anyways, guys, you guys keep hunting out there, keep collecting, keep customizing, and I will see you on the next one.